I forgot to say it in the original recording, but now I'm going to take this moment before the video actually starts to say thank you, Mr. Corona, for making these tier lists for me to actually make. It has been so much fun, and I wanted to tip my cap to you, my good sir. Hopefully you see this, and if you do, how you doing? It's been a while. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get on to the actual tier list. Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Astros, and I am here for a tier list. I'm actually getting around to doing the pitchers one. I said I was going to do that when I made the hitters video, and that was over a month ago. Man, can you tell that the fact that the lockout has gone absolutely nowhere, I've lost a lot of motivation to do baseball stuff on the channel? Yeah, it's kind of rough, and it does not look like it's ending anytime soon. So, with that out of the way, let's rank the pitchers, right? So, the last video I did for hitters, there was the elite tier, all-star, and then a couple of others, right? But it was the same principle of S, A, B, C, D. Now, I was able to rank the hitters league-wide, right? Because we had quite a few elite hitters, we had a lot of all-star hitters, and we also had some towards the bottom of the barrel. Now, with pitchers, it's a little bit different, because if I ranked it the same of like actual elite, actual all-star, there would be one each in S and A. And I think you know who those two are. So I'm going to instead make it about the team, right? So I'm ranking these pitchers among the other players on the team and not so much league-wide. And I think that's really the only way to do this. So, with that said and out of the way, first up, Josh James. I feel like C tier is pretty fair for Josh James. I have quite a few of the numbers pulled up. Like, he was meh, but he really didn't pitch all that much. I honestly might put Josh James in like a subsect of C for players that just did not have enough time to really tell me anything for 5. He did not pitch much. Brandon Bielak, on the other hand, did pitch quite a bit. He was just sort of ineffective. I mean, he's about of Josh James because I want to say James had under 10 innings pitched, whereas Brandon Bielak had decent number. I think he had 50 innings pitched. He was just not that good in said innings pitched. I still feel responsible for Brandon Bielak falling off a cliff from the time that I made a "it be like that sometimes" joke. But, to quote Mark McGuire, we're not here to talk about the past. So next up we have Joe Smith, and I'm going to put him in D, and I would put him in F if there was one. And I don't like saying that, but, man, I was so hyped. If you guys remember my videos in 2020, I was so high on Joe Smith coming into 2021. I really thought he was going to be near all-star, right? I thought he was going to be fantastic. The season before this one, I will pull it up real quick if I can. I mean, he was fantastic. He was debatably a all-star caliber pitcher in 2019. Yes, so 1.80 ERA and 25 innings pitched. I mean, he was fantastic. And the season before that, he was pretty solid. So I really had every reason to believe coming into 2021 he was going to be still near elite pitcher, and he just wasn't. An over 7 ERA, specifically at 7.48. And granted, the FIP drops it by 2.5 runs, but you still have a FIP of 5, and that's just not going to do you much. So I hate putting him in D because I like him, but I can't put him anywhere else. And he's going to be at the very bottom of D tier, I'm going to tell you right now. So Brooks Raley, the ex-merchant, who I miss dearly already, I'm going to put him in A. And I'm going to put him probably towards the bottom of A, but I don't have anyone else in A, so he's going in A right now. And that's because I'm a stat nerd. And numbers like FIP, expected ERA, barrel percentage, exit velocity, that kind of stuff, loves Brooks Raley. I really like Brooks Raley, and I wish if his actual numbers, like if his actual ERA was just a little bit closer to those expected numbers, he might sneak his way up there, but I'm going to put him in the bottom of A for right now, but he's just in A. Blake Taylor. I think Blake Taylor is a solid B. He was fine. I like Blake Taylor. I think he's going to kind of be maybe a hair higher of an ERA than like Brad Peacock. That's kind of how I see it playing out for him. I think he's a good pitcher. I don't think he's great or anything. I think he's going to be a solid bullpen, middle of the game guy, middle relief. That's where I really see him for the long term at the Astros. And I'm fine with that. I like that. Ryan Stennik. I'm going to put him above Raley because he does have better numbers. and his practical numbers are much closer to, expected numbers and what have you. And Ryan Stennik, this season, I feel kind of had a weird year, because I really think he's better than you'd think. He just had a few real stinker performances, and that kind of messed him up, right? There were a few games that just really got away from Ryan Stennik where he'd give up crazy runs, but then there would be, 6-game stretches where he'd just be lights out. And if he can get rid of a few of those bad games, he could find his way easily at the top of A, maybe even into the S tier. But for right now, I'm going to put him in A. I was happy with Ryan Stennik, and I'm excited to see him continue with the Astros. Peter Solomon, I'm going to put him next to Josh James, but ahead of Josh James, right? So I'm going to make this little area right here in C. You didn't really pitch that much, so I don't really have an opinion of you. Basically, imagine every guy who pitched, under 20 innings. So, I mean, he was good in his, 15 innings of work. He was really good. He had, a 1.25, 1.23, or 1.30 ERA around there. It was good. He was good in 14 innings, but it's 14 innings. And this isn't the COVID season. This is the 2021 season. Side note, how funny is it that looks like we're going to have the second shortened season in 3 years for baseball? Hey, owners, Players Association, you mind getting to work on that? Anyway, that's a different video. Anyway, yeah, you're good there. Lance Mccullars Jr. Do I even have to say it? S tier, baby. He should have been an all-star. I don't know why he wasn't. Received Cy Young votes, second best qualified ERA in the American League at 3.16. Fantastic season, career year for LMJ. I am so excited to see him next year going in as probably our day one starter whenever the season does start up. I'm ecstatic for Lance McCullers going forward. I think it's kind of funny that the last pitcher we had, that we signed to a pretty lucrative contract, which was Verlander, went on to then have a career season, and then we did the same thing with Lance, and he went on to have a career season. There's something funny about that. Anyway, Andre Scrub. I'm going to put you at the bottom of C, because I think you're a little bit... Man, he could go easily in D tier. I'm going to put him in D. He was not good. We all had a lot of fun joking about Andre Scrub in 2020 when his ERA and FIP were just so hilariously different from each other. Shut up. And then 2021 was the end of Doctor Strange, where it said the bill always comes due. The FIP caught up to him, and it was not too pretty. So he had a rough season. Yimi Garcia. I'm going to put... No, not you. Yimi Garcia, there we go. I'm going to put you in between. Yimi Garcia was not that good. And on account that I believe it was Jose Cruz Jr., who we sent for him, absolutely went off after we traded him. That trade is looking worse and worse by the day, and he is a free agent, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that. Yeah, he is. He already signed. He already went to the Blue Jays, I believe. That's neat. So that trade didn't go too well. I think D is pretty fitting for him, over 5 ERA. Zach Greinke, I'm going to put you behind Blake Taylor in B. I think that's pretty fair. Zach Greinke was meh this year. Took a step back. He still pitched a lot, and that's really what saves him, is the 171 innings pitched. He soaked up games for us. He led the team in games started, I believe. Barely, but yes. He was just sort of a hero to soak up innings, and that was his job, and he did that fine. So I have no quarrels with Zach Greinke. I loved him as a person. He was hilarious. Pretty all right in the postseason. Had likely the final hit in Major League history for a pitcher in Game 4 of the World Series or Game 5 of the World Series. I know he pinched hit in Game 5, but I don't remember if he got a hit. I think he just got a pinch hit appearance and then actually got the hit in Game 4. So I think B. He was a fun Astro. I like Zach Greinke. I hope he goes somewhere and does well. And finally, eventually, we'll get his ring. Brian Abreu, man. Bottom of D tier. And it sucks because I like Brian Abreu. If you guys remember, in 2020, I was just talking about Brian Abreu like he was going to be the next big thing. And then 2021 happened, and Brian Abreu was very much not the next big thing. Well over 5 ERA. Now, you could say that expected numbers kind of agree with him because his ERA goes from 5.75 and drops to a 4.36 FIP. So the expected numbers kind of help him out a little bit. I think that's because of he has hope, is what I'm going to say with Brian Abreu. I could see him eventually becoming pretty solid, but I think D for right now is where I'm going to put him. I'm not going to put him any higher than that. Jacob Rizzi, I'm going to put you right behind Zach Ranky because I think you were just a little bit not as good as Zach Ranky. I think it's close, though. Man, Jacob Rizzi brought in to theoretically replace Framber Valdez, and we were all hype on that. I was super hype on the Jacob Rizzi thing. And then it just kind of didn't work. 4.21 ERA. You couldn't even have a funny ERA and be 4.20. Like, come on, man. He was 104 innings pitched, 102 ERA plus. He was basically the definition of average. It wasn't bad. He was sort of like buttered toast, you know? Not like peanut butter toast or jelly or anything. Just plain white toast. Yeah, it's fine, but you're not going to ride home from the restaurant talking about the buttered toast. Unless it's very, very, very good butter. Anyway, bottom of B is where I'm going to put him for right now. Phil Maton, I am going to put you... I kind of want to put him in the bottom of B, or I could put him in the top of C. I think I could flip-flop right there, but I'm going to put you at the very bottom of B. Now, ERA, not that good. I believe he had like a 5 ERA with the Astros, but you watch him pitch, and then you watch how he did in the postseason, which was pretty darn good if I'm not forgetting, which I might be. I could be kind of, daft. That is possible. But I gotta be honest. I'm kind of interested on Phil Maton going forward. So here it is. With the Astros this season, in the 3 series, he gave up 1 earned run across 12 appearances. I mean, he looked good in the postseason. He also had 14 strikeouts to 3 walks in the postseason. He was good. Like, Phil Maton looked great in the postseason. And honestly, even though he didn't look good in the regular season, like he had some bad appearances, you can tell that his stuff plays and that a lot of times he was just getting very unlucky. And so I'm really excited to see him go forward. I think we have him under contract for a few more years. I want to say we have him until like 2024. So I'm interested to see what we do with Phil Maton. I could see him being pretty darn good going forward. And he's only... Phil Maton's 28. I would have thought he was younger than that. All right, 28. Fair enough. Ralph Garza Jr., you're going down here. You're going down amongst the I don't really know how to feel about you because you just didn't play that much group. I want to say it was under 10 innings. It was... Okay, it was 11. Yeah, he was fine. I think there was one game. I don't remember what happened in said game, but I remember I felt he got shafted. But I think C is where you're going to go. Hopefully you develop. I'd love to see that. I mean, the flow, not bad. All right, Ryan Presley, no shock here. Best pitcher on the team. There's no debate. I love Lance McCullars, but man, Ryan Presley was fantastic. Lit up StatCast, lit up expected numbers, lit up actual numbers. He was fantastic. 2.25 ERA, 2.06 FIP, 191 ERA plus, WHIP under 1. And even though it doesn't really matter because that's who cares about saves, he had 26 of them in 64 innings pitched, 64 games. He was a fantastic closer for the Astros this season. And he was back to 2019 Presley, the first half. Hopefully that means 2020 was an anomaly and we're going to have a very good Presley going forward. All right. Christian Javier. Man, I kind of want to put you in A. I think I'm going to put... Okay, so starter Javier is going in A. Relief Javier is going in B. Because I like Christian Javier a lot. And I would like to say, the difference between Javier and then the next group, I would say it's kind of drastic. Like, I really feel Christian Javier is a great pitcher if we actually, used him as a starter. He's good. I really like him. I look forward to Christian Javier developing going forward. And I think there's a bit of a drop here. Honestly, I think I'm going to put Blake Taylor ahead of him, actually. But again, I think it's these two and then a pretty steep drop. Because Blake Taylor had like a 3.1 something ERA. And then Javier, I want to say it was like 3.5. But I think that was a deceiving 3.5. Because he was significantly better when he was as a starter, opposed to relief. But that being said, the starting rotation, sort of a massive cluster of pitchers, which I'm going to discuss that in a second when I get down to a certain couple guys. Actually, I got 3 starters right here, so I'm going to do these 2 back-to-back because I can kind of talk about the rotation with those 2 guys. Luis Garcia, I'm going to put at the bottom of A. I mean, he almost won Rookie of the Year. He received quite a few votes. I know he finished 2nd behind Randy Arozarena, and I want to say it was a somewhat close race, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, it wasn't that close. Wasn't as close as I thought. I thought Luis Garcia had a very good season, though. He was good as a rookie. I look forward to seeing him going forward. I think the Astros could have a sneakily great rotation next season because you have McCullars, you have Luis Garcia, you have Verlander back. Hopefully he's, cromulent. Verlander doesn't have to be the 2019 Verlander to be helpful. Verlander can quite simply be, an above-average pitcher. If Verlander can come in and have like a 1.30 ERA around like 3.2 something, and still have the strikeouts, I mean, that's good. I would be happy with that. Because then you could theoretically have a rotation that's at the top of it, Lance McCullars, Justin Verlander, Framber Valdez, and then Luis Garcia. And then you can either have... Then you can have Odorizzi, Javier, and... anyone else sort of battle it out, maybe even Jose Urquidy. And that's a pretty solid rotation. Like, if you go into next season with the rotation of McCullars, Verlander, Framber, Garcia, Javier, I mean, no, that's not like a super rotation, but that's 5 starting pitchers that every single night are going to give you a very good chance to win the game. And that's what you can hope for. Like, that's all you can hope for. So, with that said, Framber's going to go at the top of A because he was very good. He was not quite up here. If he would have had a few more games, he would be up here. But I'm going to put him in the bottom of A. But it's a very steep drop from the bottom of S to the top of A. Like, he was very good this season. 3.14 ERA, just only had 134 innings pitched. And that is the reason I'm not quite going to put him above or up here with Lance and them, because Lance did have a lot. He pitched 162 innings. But Framber was very good. And there was that... I don't know why there was this thing this season, but people had this weird thing where they were talking about Framber as if he was bad this year. And I'm like, guys, like, he was better than last year significantly. He had a lot more innings pitched, right? Because the season was back, and his ERA dropped by almost half a run. It dropped from 3.57 to 3.14. Like, it was a massive drop. The FIP was a little higher than you would have liked, but man, Framber could be good again. Like, Framber might have come out... Framber from the top ring to come be a good pitcher for the Astros. Who'd have thunk it? And I think top of A is right where he belongs. Jose Urquidy... I want to say he didn't pitch. I don't believe he pitched that much, if I'm not mistaken. Let me find it really quickly. 20 games. That's more than I thought, actually. 107 innings pitched, 3.62 ERA. I'm just having those numbers as just for reference, because I remember Javier being... Not Javier. Urquidy, man. I'm tired. I know he was solid. I know you're solid. And I'm going to put him middle of B. Like, that is a very solid starting pitcher. You look at Jose Urquidy and you go, yep, that's a starting pitcher. And you don't really think about it. He's very much a set it and forget it thing. He's sort of like a little bit better than buttered bread. It's like buttered bread, but with really, really good butter. Again, you're not going to write home about it, but you're like, yeah, that was good. You have no problems with Jose Urquidy being in the rotation. I don't know why I keep going to the buttered bread analogy, but we're going to keep going to this well. Anyway, Kent Emmanuel. Kent Emmanuel. We will always have 8 2/3 in relief of Jake Odorizzi in your first ever Major League Baseball game. We'll always have that, and that's special. Only pitched like 17 innings this season, then went down with a UCL injury, had to get Tommy Johns, and now he's been traded, I believe, to the Phillies. And that sucks, and I'm going to miss Kent Emmanuel, because I really thought he could have been good. But alas, 17 innings is all we have him up here for. And that bums me out quite a bit. But among the pitchers that I'm putting in the class of, like, you didn't pitch enough for me to really judge you, he's easily the top of it. He was really good in that short little stint. He was fantastic. And sadly, his Astros career came to an end far too soon. So I'm going to put him there. Kendall Graveman. Now, you might catch some... I might catch some flack for this, but Kendall Graveman was very good for the Astros this season. And he gets hate because he wasn't Mariners Graveman. He was just a good Graveman. 3.13 ERA in 23 innings pitched. He was good. He was a 1.39 ERA plus pitcher for the Astros for half a season. He helped the bullpen out greatly. He was a lovely combination for setup with Ryan Stennik, and they would love to hand off games with a lead to this man up here. He was good. He was very good. I don't understand why people were kind of getting upset at Graveman. No, it didn't work out the way you would have hoped. You would have liked to have won a World Series, giving up Abraham Toro. But, man, we got to the World Series with him, and he was pretty okay in the playoffs. So I think middle of A is pretty fair. I would put him definitely above, Rayleigh and Garcia. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to ex-merchant for life. Kendall Graveman was solid. He was good. I have no problem with his tenure here. I wish we would have re-signed him, but, c'est la vie. I was happy with him this season. And finally, the Cannoli man. The legend of Enoli Paredes breaks my heart, because I really want him to be good. But sadly, he just wasn't. Over 6 ERA. I want to see over 6 FIP. Just didn't pitch that much. I'm tempted to put him at the bottom of this. I think I am going to put him in the bottom of that. I don't have the heart to put the Cannoli man down here in D tier. I really hope that Enoli Paredes I really hope that Enoli Paredes figures it out, because I really like him, and I'd love to have him up at the major league level some more. But for right now, I gotta put him down there. And so that's it. That is my ranking. So, in order, because again, I'm doing the best to worst of each tier, I have Presley, Mccullars, Valdez, Stennik, Graveman, Rayleigh, Garcia, Blake Taylor, I don't know why I have a hard time remembering his name, Christian Javier, Jose Urquidy, Zach Ranky, Jacob Rizzi, Phil Maton, Brandon Bielak, and then these 5 in the not enough to really judge you, but Kent Emmanuel, Peter Solomon, Ralph Garza Jr., Josh James, and Enoli Paredes, and in D, Andre Scrub, Yimi Garcia, Brandon Abreu, and sadly, Joe Smith. So that's what I got. I would love to say I'll be back in a day or so with another Astros video, but I really don't know when I will be back with another Astros video on account that, well, the season's kind of dead right now. I hope soon, and in a perfect world, when I upload this, moments afterwards, they will have come to an agreement, and the season will be back on schedule. I sadly don't think that is going to happen. So, until we meet again in an Astros jersey, thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and go Stros.